On today's episode of the NASM CPT Podcast with me, Richey, I explore New Year's resolutions and beyond. I talk about my resolutions. What are some of the resolutions I have for the year 2026? I discuss what fresh starts are like, and that can be the new year and what that means for a lot of people, but it could also be anytime you start something new. What does that mean? What does that look like? And how do we continue to ride not just motivation, but the decision to stay resolute with our resolutions? And then also check out nationaldaycalendar.com for more fresh start ideas. Now, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and share with your fitness friends and family, and leave a 5-star review. Now, here's the episode, the New Year's resolutions and beyond.
You're listening to the NASM CPT Podcast with Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM CPT Podcast. My name is Richey, and it's a new year again, 2026 at the time of this recording. And listen, I know, and I ran it by my producer, Eric, and I said, I know we like to keep these evergreen, that you can just click on them, and it's applicable for any time. And this one will be too, but what we're going to talk about first is the New Year resolution, and then we're going to talk about other things when it comes to scheduling, when you decide to turn over a new leaf, when you decide to start something and make progress, and new events, life events. Those are all things that are actually more closely linked to making progress. But as the new year begins, here's what happens. People, trainers, fitness folks, they post things. Their annual posting of, I can't wait for February so people leave the gym. And their posts that say, I can't wait for the posers to be out of here. And in the same breath, they'll turn around and say, oh, it's time to hire a trainer. Pick me, pick me. So I get it. A lot of people say, oh, these are the jokes, my friends. And I get it. And I understand how it can be funny. But I'll also say this, I didn't say it. Shakespeare said it in King Lear. Many a truth had been spoken in jest. And I believe that our words matter, and what we say matters, and how we say it matters. So when we're posting, I think it's important to say, hey, come on, come all, let's make it happen. Because we all know that, our biggest concern as trainers are making sure that we have clients, making sure we're getting business, ensuring that we fill the schedule, that we're making a sufficient amount of money, that we're covering our bills, and we have some left over for life and for fun and for emergencies and for retirement and all those random yet unnecessary Amazon purchases. We got to make sure that we have money for those as well. So we're going to look at what it means to have a fresh start. And I think fresh starts are important. But before we get to the fresh starts, you can't be posting things online that are saying, hey, I'm against fresh starts because I don't want you taking up space in my gym. We want people taking up space in the gym. And in fact, when I worked for a corporate gym, we used to call members, those were called opportunity. We would have the opportunity to speak to members, and the more members we got, simply a numbers game, the more chance I had to increase my client base. And January is a good month for that. And there are a lot of people that are going to come in that don't know what they're doing. And that's good. Listen, don't sell them on personal training. Sell them on how good you are at helping them. And maybe eventually they'll start training. I know this has happened so many times where people hate to be sold to. Man, don't sell me. But when you show your value, when you create value, when somebody says, there's a difference between value and price, right? So price is what you charge, value is what you offer. And so what is the value that you offer for free to just anybody who's in your sphere? Who's in the gym? Who's in the facility? And what is your value to them? And it is you showing your value before they show you money. And I'm not talking about just complimentary sessions, but what are you doing to get them in the door? They're going to need that. So show the value. And the first thing that you have to do is not pick on people on social media that says, hey, get out of my gym. I need my space. There's not even enough room to do bicep curls. Good, fill her up. Absolutely. Get more people in here. But we're going to talk about fresh starts. But before we do this, I want to say that this episode of the NASM CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM One, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM One. So let's talk about fresh starts. Fresh starts are so good for us. The New Year's resolution. It is a new year. And so the New Year's, apostrophe S, by the way, a New Year's resolution is something that we resolve to change. I'm resolute in this new stance. I am going to do this. And here's the crazy part. And this is why a lot of people don't like New Year's resolutions. They don't like them because so often they don't work. In fact, more than often, they don't work. In fact, we've got some research that shows that there's about an 80% failure rate. And because of that 80% failure rate, people look at it and they go, oh man, that's so much failing. So many people did not accomplish what they set out to accomplish. They were not resolute in what they said they were going to do. They did not put the time, the effort, the commitment into creating change. And we have to be careful with that. And so do the people making the resolutions. What is your resolution? Is it big? It's a big year-long resolution. By the end of the year, I want to do this. That's great, but you got to break that down into smaller steps. And so when you get people in who are looking to make these resolutions, tell me what it is that you've resolved to do. And now let's break that down into smaller, more tangible goals so we can aim at what we can figure out and do by next Friday, not what we can do by the end of 2026 or a year from now, whenever it is that you're listening to this message. I need to know what you want, and we need to make sure that that's an actual attainable goal. And we talk about SMART goals regularly. Are you being specific? Is it something that you can measure? Is it attainable? Is it relevant to who you are and what you do? Did you put a time stamp on it and say, hey, we're limited to this amount of time? And then you take a broad amount of time and you break it into a smaller amount of time, and that medium amount of time, break it into a amount of time and make those steps. Well, that's cool for them, but what does that mean for us as we continue to look out and see people failing 80% of the time? And the problem is you're focusing on the failure. Did you know that if you look at it another way, that's a 20% success rate? 20% of the people who make New Year's resolutions actually attain those resolutions. They stick with those resolutions. They are indeed resolute in what they set out to do. And yet we focus on the 80% who didn't do what they wanted to do. And sometimes because that 80%, it's just a big, massive goal. And you set really, really big goals. It's hard to climb Everest when you haven't climbed up the hill in your neighborhood. And so people are looking at Everest and saying, I can do that, because they are motivated in this moment to commit the time, effort, the pain, whatever goes into getting to where they think they want to be. And yet, motivation is very fleeting. It's like the people who throw away their cigarettes and say, I'm not going to smoke anymore. And they pour out all their alcohol and they say, I'm not going to drink anymore. That's because you're really motivated today. And then in a week, you're going, I can't believe I threw that stuff out. I need it so bad. I am no longer motivated. And we talk about this. Motivation is fleeting. that is fleeting. But what can you stick with? What can you stick with? And that's what we need to look at. Can we look and explore this 20% success rate? There's a woman, she's on research. Her name's Katie Milkman. She's got a book called How to Change: The Science of Getting from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. And it's a great book. It's a great book on motivation. It is a great book on change. And I am a huge fan of her and the work that she's done. I also like the foreword of the book because another person named Angela Duckworth, who wrote this incredible book called Grit, she writes the foreword to How to Change. And I think that if you haven't read How to Change and you haven't, by Katie Milkman, you haven't read the book Grit by Angela Duckworth, then those are two things to put on your list, maybe to add to your resolutions, that you read these books this year at some point. And one of the things that she talks about is she talks about the idea of a new start, a fresh start. And fresh starts have a lot of, strength to them. When you start something new, but you need a fresh start, you don't just need an idea, you need something more significant. Like, it's a new year, so this is the new version of me. This is where I'm going to change. Or they talk about birthdays, and birthdays are significant. Trust me, when I turned 30, it was like, yo, 30, I need to, it's real. I'm an adult. I need to make some real adult decisions. And then when I turned 40, I was like, well, now I'm an adult, and I have to start thinking about what it looks like for retirement, because I did not do that earlier, and shame on me. And so now let's start looking at that, and I'm going to build my business and really focus on working smarter, not harder, because trust me, I was working hard in my 30s, but in my 40s, trying to work a little bit smarter, doing things differently. And in a few years, I will be turning 50, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to have some big resolutions for the big 5-0. So birthdays can be significant for people, especially if you're like my dad. You only get a birthday every 4 years. So every 4 years, you only have to make a resolution once every 4 years instead of every year. So things like moving to a new place, moving to a new school, moving to a new job. When these big moments in life happen, they also are more closely associated with making changes that we want to make. Sometimes there's another, a diagnosis of a medical situation. I just had a friend of mine come in. I haven't seen him in a while. He's he's a trainer at our gyms, and I haven't seen him because he was diagnosed with cancer. And young, 30 years old, bodybuilder, just handsome, pecs and teeth. I mean, that's what you see when he walks in the door. Charming, delightful. But he's got a diagnosis, and trust me, the things in his life that changed from that diagnosis not only changed where he was, but also changed perspective. And so those diagnoses are parts of big change. I was diagnosed when I was 40 years old. I was diagnosed with diabetes. That changed me in a very significant way. What it is that I do, what it is that I eat, how I behave, what are my work patterns, what are my commitments to my family, all based on that diagnosis. Things like marriage and divorce are all things that create a fresh start, a new you, in the way that you say, this is a significant moment, and associated with this significant moment, I want something new for me. So here's what I suggest. You can look at, for instance, January 2nd, I look back at, and January 2nd was National Personal Trainer Awareness Day. I like that one, but it's also National Cream Puff Day and Buffet Day. So they don't necessarily go together, but what you can do is go to nationaldaycalendar.com. And I love this because this is great for when you get somebody that just started training with you, not necessarily in the new year. Right now, in this new year, we are going to try to bolster people and strengthen their resolve and get them to commit and do work and realize that it's not about motivation. It's about showing up because you got an appointment with me. So you don't have to be motivated. Your motivation is the appointment that we've scheduled and the money you will pay if you don't show up. That's pretty motivating. So that gets people connected to the process, but also going back and saying, well, what is this day? And you can go to pretty much any day and say, okay, well, if you start on February 1st, then go to nationaldaycalendar.com. And that's going to say, hey, February 1st is this. And if it doesn't work for you because you're like, oh, those are ridiculous. And there are some ridiculous ones, certainly not National Cream Puff Day, but other ones that can be pretty ridiculous. And they can also be pretty motivating. You say, well, it's National Cream Puff Day, so you keep doing this. We come back around, cream puffs for everyone, right? I've committed so much that it is good for me. I'm going to eat some cream puffs because you can. You feel comfortable with doing that. If you want to do that on any day, go to this calendar. And I think it's great because it gives you an idea. And you've seen National Sibling Day and National Father's Day, National, all these donut days and things like that. There are a lot. January 1st, by the way, National Hangover Day. I don't know. Some things don't make sense to me, but sure, Rick, they don't make sense to you. National Hangover Day, which I always thought was the day after St. Patty's Day, but apparently there's another one. So with that being said, what is your day with your client that you're going to start on? And this is the day we turn over a new leaf, right? So January 1st, it's a great new start. It's a new year and people are coming to you. But why? Why are they showing up more in the gym? Why are they showing up more with personal training and signing up for personal training? It's because a lot of times they don't know what to do, but also a lot of times because they don't like doing it and they need somebody to be there. And for somebody to be there, you being that someone, fitness professional, I need you to be there because you're going to do things for me that I won't do for myself. Yes, but you are going to make it tolerable, which means you're going to try to help people enjoy this. I want you to want to show up. I want Monday morning, 6 a.m. for my new person that I just started training again after years. She came in the first Monday in January and said, let's start 6 a.m. And I showed up 6 a.m. and I was ready to go. And she showed up ready to go. And she was happy and excited because I used to train her years ago. And now she's back. And she was very happy. I was very happy because we know each other. And we know that when we get together, we're going to work, but we're also going to enjoy our time together. And every person that comes in the door, we're going to work, but we're going to enjoy our time together. And that's what I want. I know that there's going to be a part in this workout that almost every single person is going to go, really? Or, oh, not that again. Or, yeah, why? Because we're working. But it's all worthwhile because I've got my PR charts. I've got a new list. And tell you what, like my friend Stacy, she came in today and we did 500 meters on the ski erg. And she has a whole new PR chart. So you know what she got today? A PR. How motivating is that? Hey, welcome back. You hit a personal record. So now what do? We do it again next time I see her or the time after that. And we see if we make progress. And we start hitting new PRs. And that's the great thing is that these are little motivating moments, but it's also a benchmark to show where we are in the progress that we're making. And we need that. And listen, you can't do what you dislike for the amount of time that you dislike. So do what you can, not what you can't. But when people come in, and I always remember this because my friend Fabio Camana said this, people don't like doing things that they don't like. Just imagine. He goes, I don't like flossing. Or I don't think he said that. Fabio, I'm sure you love flossing. But people don't like flossing. That's pretty well known. Imagine if you had to do it for an hour. Well, people don't like working out, yet they have to come in and do it for an hour, the hour-long session with a personal trainer. That has to be horrible. So what do? We find out what they can manage. Let's look at what they can handle. Let's add some flexibility and mobility and some core work and some balance work, maybe a little fun speed, agility, and quickness work. And we haven't, quote, worked out yet. We haven't even gotten to the resistance training. And now we're 20, 25 minutes deep where people feel like they're doing stuff, but we haven't picked anything up. And then maybe a little cardio and then resistance training and not overwhelm anybody. And then maybe a touch of cardio again at the end before we go in and do some stretching. That's not overwhelming, and you might look at it and say, well, what's the point of that? Well, the point of it is that these people haven't done anything. Now they're doing something. They're most likely going to be a little bit sore anyway. But what we're doing is we're meeting people where they are. That's not the workout for everybody, but that's a good kind of setup for people when they come in and they haven't worked out in a long time or they haven't worked out before and they need to ease into it. And then the good news is they're going to see you the next time and say, hey, I feel like I can push myself a little bit harder. And if they don't offer it, then you got to ask it. How'd you feel after the last workout? Were you sore? Were you achy? Were you overly sore? Did your joints hurt? Do you feel like we can push you a little bit harder? We can add some more weight. We can add a little more resistance training in. All the questions that you got to ask. Because we're trying to get people to come back and stay consistent. And that is what I want to do. That's what I want my people to do. So do what you can, not what you can't. Of course, I always say this too, a little bit of something's better than a lot of nothing, a whole lot of nothing. So get people in here, get people working out with you and do something. Do something. I just had somebody that started training with me before we went away on break. And what I loved about it is when we went away on break, I said, let's maybe do some virtual sessions. And he goes, well, I've never done those before. And I said, well, you met so-and-so that I train at 7 a.m. before you. He does virtual every day. So I train him 3 days a week. And when he's gone, it's a 3-day-a-week virtual session every time. Another person, so-and-so at 10 a.m., he's twice a week. We keep that same schedule, even when he's traveling, even when he's on vacation, unless he's international, and then we don't hold on to those dates. So, for the holidays, if you're gone and you're in sunny Florida, then maybe let's just do a day and see what a virtual is like, and then we can go on from there. And he goes, let's give it a try. He loved it. He loved it. One of the things he said is, this is a lot more than I would have made myself do. And I think this is good for me. Let's do some more virtual sessions during this break. Boom. Boom. That's what I love. So here's what I want to do. I'm reaching down. I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to pull this up because I want to, I want to share with you just some things that I've set for my New Year's resolutions. So it's a new year. This is what I want to do. So these are some things from me. Here we go. So one of the things that I want to do is no social media after 8 p.m. So that's personal for me. We'll get to some fitness stuff and some business stuff as a trainer. I want to spend 2 hours per day on my gym business. So I train pretty regularly, but I don't train 8 hours a day. So if between working on building my personal training business and building the gym business, I need to spend a very dedicated couple hours every day specific to what that looks like. And so from that 2 hours, what I'll end up doing is saying, okay, in those 2 hours, here's what it looks like. And Monday might be planned social media posts for the week. Tuesday might look like setting up my continuing education programming and so on and so forth. So for me also, personally, I want to build more muscle. I did a good job of that in 2025, but I want to keep it going. Also, when I was building muscle, I also built some things that I didn't want to build. And so I put on a little extra body fat, which I'm not opposed to, but my plan this year is that during Lent, which I don't necessarily observe religiously, but I do like to do something for that 40-day period. So during that time, I'm going to work on a 40-day body fat cut, so weight cut. Here are a couple other things for my 2026. I want to read one book per month. Now, listen, I listen to audiobooks regularly. I get 2 books a month on my Audible account. I'm an avid book listener, but I used to read so much, and now I don't read as much because I listen to audiobooks. So my goal is to actually have a book, whether it's on my iPad or my phone or an actual book in my hand, to read at least one book a month. I have work going on in the apartment that should be starting this month. So to finish the work on that apartment, to build my virtual training and my mentorship. So if any of you are interested in personal training or doing a mentorship with me, come on over. And then to finish at least and start, so to do at least one continuing education course designed specifically for independent trainers. So trainers who are looking to build their business outside of working for a corporate gym. So you were saying, I don't want to work for the man anymore. I want to go out on my own. Then I'm working on developing a personal training, a continuing education course for people who are looking to do that. Okay, that's my goal. Those are my 2026 goals. And that's me with the goals that I put down for myself without having yet spoken to my wife. Now, I don't think my wife is going to disagree with any of those, but we'll also have family plans. We'll have a family goal. What do we want to do, the Richeys, as a family in 2026? My daughter's trying to get into college. So there's a lot of plans for my senior in high school about to go off to college. But what does go off mean? What is the college where she is planning on going into music? So she's doing auditions. All of this is part of what are our plans for 2026, the next year. But it doesn't matter. You don't have to start. It's not just a New Year's year requirement. It is when you're ready to start. Let's add that fresh start to it. Look up, what is today? And today could just be the new you day. And we will, whatever day you start is the day that we start committing to a refined version of self, because we usually don't make resolutions to not work as much. And some people definitely need that in their life. But what can we do more to help better ourselves, help better my longevity, help better my health, help better my fitness, help better my business, help better my relationship to my family members, to my significant other? What can I do? And listening to this is the time for that change. This is the time to create that moment for yourself. I appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family. Thank you to my producer, Eric Sorensen. And again, apologize for not the evergreen, but I think this is a good time to turn over that new leaf. If you have questions for me, hit me up. You can do so on Instagram at dr.rickrichey or email me, rick.richey@nasm.org. Y'all keep inspiring people to fitness. Thanks for listening. This has been the NASM CPT Podcast.